I guess, what do you love most about the guitar? I guess what made you
Honestly,
just switch from violin one day and then you pick up, hey, there's the guitar?
so music for me holds. When I switched from violin to guitar, that's how it felt like. It was like, oh, like the angelic heavenly lights being bestowed upon me, and I have I have all the answers now. But basically, music for me is an outlet um, for feelings, thoughts, emotions that I have that I can't access any other way. It's an outlet that I'm able to really productively express myself in a way that's not dangerous, not unhealthy, and is not weird. It's a way of expressing yourself that has no victim and it's harmless. So I love that aspect of it. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist. If I put my mind to something, I have to do it how I want. And I'm not going to stop until I get to that point. So the guitar is really a vehicle that you can extrapolate. Really, it's really a vehicle that you can live like kind of your life based off of. Like learning a solo is no different than learning the proper way of like selling a product, or learning how to really stay enthusiastic, because this is something my dad always told me, but character is the ability to carry out an action long after enthusiasm is worn off. And I always think about that when I'm learning something, because like, as you know, when you're learning a crazy drum fill or something, there's no enthusiasm when you're playing over and over and over slow as you possibly can. It doesn't even sound like anything. Um, but yeah, so for me, music and guitar has really been a tool for me to prove what I am capable of. Like picking up guitar again and being, I guess, having the success I've had in any measure of the word success. I can't even measure success as a guitarist, because I measure success as how happy you are. Like it just so happens that the things that make me happy are being playing with an established band, playing with a signed band, playing with a band that has similar music interests as me, but also playing with a band that wants to make cool shit and wants to make I guess for death metal's sake, wants to make complicated shit, because
Yeah.
because death metal, as you know, is overly complicated. A lot of times, the complication you can't even hear, so it's like, what is the point of it? But the people that are playing it can hear, and they know it, and that's one way I can identify with it. Like, for instance, there's a band called Vitriol that I'm obsessed with right now. I don't know if you've picked them up, but they are like an amalgamation of like Nile, Behemoth, um, and like brain drill, like abstract death metal, like weird shit, to where it's such a breath of fresh air. It almost doesn't sound like anything. It almost doesn't even sound like music. But I know what they're going for, and I know what they're about. So
We know.
it's kind
We know.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
But like my girlfriend doesn't even let me listen to it in her presence, because it just sounds like noise to her. And that's kind of the fun in death metal. It's like it's almost, it's so against the grain that normal people can't hear it and won't like it. So it's almost her own thing.
Does she listen to a lot of the same music you do?
No,
No.
she appreciates it, um, but she's into girl music. Like
I don't want to say Butcher Babies or something like that because I know there's a couple of those ones. Oh, fuck. Who was the other one?
she's very, music is a very big part of her life. Okay, I'll put this way. She's of the mindset like Deftones, Tool, A Perfect Circle, like
All the choices, yeah.
yeah, like more of the hard rock, more of the
Okay.
hard rock bands.
I was gonna say the next one might have been like Paramore, the way you were kind of phrasing it too. So I wasn't sure if that was one of our groups too.
No, she's not into like the scenester stuff. Uh, I do want to mention this as well. My girlfriend is a big part of why I picked up the guitar again. In 2020, she saw my decline. She saw my downfall. I was like getting really sick in multiple ways. My body was literally, dude, my body was shutting down. I had to go to the hospital because I had these stomach problems, like these gnarly ulcers.
Oh God.
We went to this local guitar shop. Yeah, I literally thought I was dying, man. I'm really happy that all that's gone. I guess my one plug in like mental health that I want to talk about is I just want to mention that it is very real, and I guess for anyone that might be watching, like talk about how you're feeling, because it does get too late, and once it's too late, that's when that's the point you don't want to get to. Um, but again, my girlfriend recognized I was really struggling, and she bought me she essentially bought me my first. We went in halfway. She spent 700. I spent 700. I bought this here. I'll run and get it real quick. Just one second.
Sure.
I bought this thing 2020. It's a Gibson. It's one of the newer Flying V's. I don't know how familiar with guitars you are, but the older Flying V's would actually have a pick guard that would extend onto this side as well.
Mm.
What it is, they kind of cut the pick guard in half. They changed the pickups from 490 T's and 500 R's to dirty finger pickups, which is actually what Eric Rutan exclusively uses now. So yeah, this is my one of my battle axes. The expensive guitars that I have, like my collection, I don't take them out of the house.
I see. I actually do a little bit of bass. Here, let me see if I can actually try this.
Yeah.
Just tilt it down. Sure.
Okay.
Right here and everything. This is
Oh,
really
that
just
thing's sick.
well, this one's just really a Chinese rip-off, to be honest. It's not really anything
Oh,
special,
okay.
so it's something at
What is that?
least. So
That's like a Rickenbacker body though, right?
I honestly have no idea. I thought it was just Les Paul kind of set up there and everything. So
You know what it reminds me of?
what?
Reminds me of John Lennon.
Really?
Reminds me of the Beatles a little bit.
I might have to see the videos, but I don't know. That's all my dad said because my uncle just gave it to me, and like he was meant to come and pick it up, and then he never did. So,
Oh, really?
so I figured I could probably use this for live streams actually, because I actually did one where I down tuned the E string to a D, and now
Okay.
it's like D A D G. So
Right.
I actually found a lot of cool songs from a lot of the alternative groups I listened to growing up. They play in that chord progression too, so I'm actually pretty happy about that.
Right. Right.
So, and a lot of them
So
are pretty simple ones too, so that's at least a big plus too. So,
yeah, I mean, I love I over the years. I mean, I don't really have any many beater instruments anymore, but I remember it's so cool just being able to acquire different stuff and kind of just grow your collection.
yeah, I maybe not right now since we're dealing with inflation and possibly a recession at some point, God forbid. But
Yeah.
maybe at some point it would be nice to collect a different bass and then try to go from there and then work your way up because this one, even when you're like on the fret, for instance, it might do like a little vibration. So it is a little
A little.
annoying. So it is a little annoying, but it's something at least. It at least helps with practicing wise. So do some more live
Right.
streams down the road. So
That's awesome. I'm gonna stay posted.
all right, sounds good.
I had a chance to look at some of your covers, and we definitely have similar musical interests.
Well, you mentioned a lot of the bands that I listen to too, and I also saw your Balthury shirt, and I don't listen to that group actually a whole lot. I kind of wish I did because
Dude, Bathory is so sick. Like, that's one thing I didn't touch on. I'm more black metal influenced, I think, than most people.
really,
I'm very into Gorgoroth. I'm very into Bathory, and I'm very into obviously more of an Angel has
Behemoth.
their black kind of sound, but
You gotta have
yeah.
Behemoth. Come on,
What's that?
you gotta have Behemoth. Come on, you can't leave those guys out.
Oh yeah, Monomoth.
Oh no, Behemoth.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, well, Monomorph too, but I don't know if you classify them as black metal to be honest. But
No, not really.
Viking metal.
Yeah,
There we go.
Viking metal.
Close enough. Close enough.
I'm really into that stuff. I'm a history buff, so I really like the bands that kind of take a history stance, like the Nile and Behemoth.
I would say the funniest thing with Bathory, I think they did a cover of Kiss's Black Diamond. I think in the studio, it might have been in the studio. I'm not too sure, but you know how they do the explosions at the end and everything.
Wait, for which song?
Kiss's Black Diamond.
Oh yeah,
On the live set, they always did like the explosions and
explosions.
everything too. I guess Bathory did that for their studio, I guess. And I'm just thinking like they would do that. They would
Yeah,
seriously do that. I don't know.
that's one thing about that's interesting in the whole scene as well is the difference between the scenes in Europe and America. I mean, the way that I think about black metal and really death metal from a kind of a European standpoint is I almost think of it as it's like Eastern European, like Europeans gangster rap.
Yeah.
Like they don't have gang like the same kind of gangs we have like in California or like gangster music. They have death metal and black metal, and they're burning down churches. It's awesome.
Hopefully nobody's in it. Nobody got hurt or anything like that.
Yeah.
Though it's probably a good spending of tax dollars too. So good job, mate.
Yeah, it's insane. Like why I like that is because it's really an example of the music having a larger than life kind of connotation. Like it's people actually living out the music. I mean, I'm not condoning burning anything down, but
Please
I
don't.
do I can see a value in just the way that they listen to music and associate with it.
I would say nice storytelling, and I guess also as an expression of art. Really,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah, yeah. They like paint themselves. They come up with nicknames. Like everyone's got their own little nickname and stuff.
Corpse
Uh,
Grinder.
yeah, corpse grinder.
Well, he doesn't paint himself up, but it's along those lines. You get the idea.
Yeah, yeah.
But let's see. You have listed a couple guys already who, like Eric Rutan and Zach Wild. I guess would you say those are your biggest influences, or I guess do you have any others?
Dimebag Darrell was a big influence. Honestly, James Hetfield. Like people don't give him enough credit. He like had literally he had, still to this day he has the coolest vocal sound of his voice. Like he has the coolest grit. I was very into early Dave Mustaine as well. Like when I bought P Cells at Who's Buying, I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. And I got into Megadeth like at the same time I was getting into Master of Puppets. So I'd already picked up, Hit the Lights. Excuse me. I'd already picked up Kill 'Em All. I already picked up Ride the Lightning. I already picked up Master of Puppets, and it was like, okay, what's Megadeth? I hear that Dave Mustaine used to be Metallica, probably good. To me, Peace Cells But Who's Dying sounded Peace Cells But Who's Buying sounded like a mix between Kill 'Em All and Master of Puppets. It was like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, he actually did perform on a couple songs. They kept some of his guitar work in Kill 'Em All, which was
Yeah,
I
specifically Hit the Lights. He's credited with the end solo.
really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He definitely.
Well, I know Jump in the Fire and Metal Militia. I forget. I think it was four altogether, but I forget what the other two were.
I think I'm sure "Hit the Lights" was one of them because I don't know if you remember the end solo
Oh God, I
of
listened to that
that
so many
song.
times.
That was what Dave Mustaine was famous for in Metallica, playing that. That was like his like his eruption.
I I always remember more of the Jump in the Fire and solo. To be honest, I don't know if he did the first one. To be honest, but I know
I,
Jump in the
I
Fire.
think
That
he
one was
wrote the
crazy.
first one too because I actually just saw this thing where on the album Risk, it was either on the album Risk or on one of the newer albums. Maybe it was on Trust. He literally he has a song where he basically plays the first Jump in the Fire solo verbatim. I'll have to send that to you as well. It's pretty crazy. It just shows you how really much of a part, I mean, he had in Metallica. Even on Ride the Lightning, he's credited with oh, and talk about the Four Horsemen. He has his own version of the Four
Mechanics,
Horsemen of
yeah.
the Mechanics. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was listening to it one time. I think like this is like Four Horsemen, and like you can pick out the solos and everything. It's like, did they just copy each other? What the hell's going on here? I don't know what's going on.
So I've talked about the big four like this. Like each one of them has been my favorite band at different times. Like I had an Anthrax phase, I had a Slayer phase, I had a Megadeth phase, I had a Metallica phase. Um, but in terms of the people that really was like, okay, this is why you play guitar. Again, I feel like it was Dimebag Darrell, James Hetfield. I didn't really like Kirk Hammett, to be honest. I
Really?
mean, yeah, I don't know why. I'd never. It was almost like even at a young age, in my young violin mind, I was like, his solos are not that as good as like maybe someone else's. Um, but that's because you know what, I think I knew that he was playing pentatonic mostly, pentatonic minor, pentatonic major, pentatonic minor. Um, but I knew from a young age that he had the ability to write things that had staying power and that were commercial, like things that people wanted to listen to. And I think that's why, you know, Metallica recruited him from Exodus because he had the ability to just jump on a song and make it like, you know, not just play. Okay, when I think of Kirk Hammett, I don't think of playing to impress. I think of playing to sound good.
Yeah, yeah. But he
You
does
know?
it with like a lot of the finger rolling and everything, or I guess whatever you call it. But you get what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
He just jams
and
the solo, man.
yeah, and a lot of, you know, he uses a lot of wah. You know, especially on the Black album, he was notorious for that. Wearing a near, wearing a near.
Uh, yeah, I thought that's what it was. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a wah wah pedal.
Okay. Do you use one too, or do you just like to do?
You know, I really like the sound of a wah wah pedal, and this is why. I like when it's used and turned on all the way and stayed there because it has a very mid almost dime bag sound to it where you can really squeal. You can squeal everything. Where if you another example is Zach Wild does that a lot. He'll use the wah and he'll turn it all the way on and leave it. Um, but for me, I when I solo, I'm not. I'm soloing to be fast. To be honest, honestly I am melodic, but I'm not that melodic. Like I would consider my solo as a mix between like Brandon Ellis of Black Dahlia Murder
Okay.
and Kirk Hammett.
I was also gonna say, I was thinking Carl Sanders from Nile because I know his solos are pretty crazy and fast too. When you listen to, I lost your safe stick. Cast Down the Heretic, for instance.
Right.
I know that one. It was a very long solo, and it might have been him and Dallas kind of jumping back and forth. But regardless, too, it was all fast and everything, and maybe some sort of distortion or whatever playing within their music too. So that's the way you were describing your playstyle. That's how I would kind of compare it to. So
Exactly. Dallas Toller Wade and Carl Sanders are again they're more individuals that definitely influence me. I mean, for in terms of a sound and getting your sound developed, I don't think there's a band that has Nile beat. I mean, is there another band that can say that they're like a minor Egyptian, like who's a minor Egyptian band, death metal band? It's Nile.
uh, I don't know. We have to maybe go dig deep for that one. But for now, let's stick with Nile.
I would put Behemoth in the same category.
Yeah.
Behemoth and Nile have very similar. Not yeah, there's some. It's kind of similar. I would consider Nile faster.
Yeah, it seemed like Behemoth slowed down a little bit for better. Definitely, the music sounds great
Yeah,
and
have you
everything.
heard the new Behemoth's new stuff?
Off to war.
Yeah, yeah. I was. They got a lot more simple. I was actually surprised. I liked it.
Sometimes it's just plain simple. That's really all you need, and just roll with it too.
Yeah,
It at least makes Inferno's drumming doable if I ever wanted to cover like any of his songs there. So I mean, I just listen to Demigod or the Apostasy album. It's like, yeah, right, that sort of thing.
I actually have I actually have a stack of albums that are probably the most influential albums. I'll mind if I grab them real quick?
Sure.
Got Demigod.
They finally put that on Amazon Prime. I was actually so happy they did that.
That's where I got it.
Did you?
Apostasy.
Okay.
Satanica. Got Whisper Supremacy. Cryptopsy.
Oh man, that was
We got.
Mike DeSalvo, right? That was the lead singer on that one.
I think you're right. I think so.
Because I think Lord Worm or whatever his name was.
Lord Worms earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah, Lord Worm's not on this.
I always have to laugh with Cryptopsy because it's never. It's like how your parents describe metal, and then you just say,
Yeah,
"Just listen to Cryptopsy." That's what you're
yeah.
thinking of.
It's like the metal your parents wanted you to stay away from.
Yes, absolutely. That's what it was. And what do you know? They were
Because
actually right.
it's like Ryan, the singer eats worms. You don't want to you don't want anything to do with that.
That's so metal.
I remember when I saw Cryptopsy for the first time. I was 13, and Lord Worm came out with a golden goblet and just eating worms on stage. And then they played the song "None So Vile," and that was the first mosh pit I ever got in. I heard that piano part in the beginning, and I was like, "Okay, I'm jumping in the mosh pit."
Oh, that was a Phobophile, I think, was the one with the.
Excuse me, Phobophile off of "None So Vile."
Yes,
Exactly.
yes, yeah.
Yep.
No, I
But
thought they
then,
normally start with Crown of Horns.
dude, I love that song as well.
Yeah, especially with the intro too and everything. They do
It's
that rather well,
right. That's
don't you
that's
think?
when I think of death metal, like you could just play that intro, and that's a good. And you'll understand me because you know Cryptopsy, but people that don't know them don't understand that their messiness is what makes them good.
They somehow
People,
still keep a beat to it, yeah, and they make.
yeah, it's almost like jazz. It's almost like they're very interesting with their music because one, they're tuned into A. Their guitarist he plays a Stratocaster in A, which who the fuck does that? You know, like
That guy.
that guy. And then Flo Monier on the drums is just still. If you watch his drum playthroughs, I watch them on the internet today. Like I'll put one on after we talk.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
um,
he's. I don't know, but he's crazy. I'll tell you that much in a good way. And drumming wise, he's crazy on the drums.
yeah, like I don't know if you picked up their new stuff, but I really like their new stuff because it's very rhythmic. Like they'll take a riff and they'll break it up into like three different rhythms, and then they'll have like kind of a breakdown, and then that's their shtick. That's why I really like Whisper Supremacy because it's just kind of like a departure into like their own weirdness. Like they'll have like little like bass solos even.
Yeah, I. What was his name? I think his name was like Eric Langos. I think was his name. That was the original guy. Then they went through a
Really.
lot of like lineup changes, as you can tell. But
Well, if you know None So Vile, you know that he had kind of a similar sound to Les Claypool.
did he?
They would even give him little bass solos, like uh, the one that everyone knows from
Slick Your Guts. Yeah.
Slit Your Guts. That's the sickest riff maybe ever written.
Absolutely.
Um, but anyways, dude, have you heard of this one?
What's that one?
Septical Gorge.
I have not. Uh,
This this is a group that you got to pick up. David Brutal Dave Bahia. He's from Spain. These guys are from Spain. He has three bands. He has Septical Gorge, Anthropophagus, and he's also in Putridity. Amazing drummer. He's a drummer. You'll freak out. I'm going to send you a few things when we get done talking,
yeah.
but also have Nihility,
Decapitated. And the rest.
Decapitated. I forgot to bring up Vogue. Vogue, dude. I'm obsessed with Vogue. Vogue is one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm
You know
doing.
what? It was such a shame to lose his brother. Oh yes, that one.
Dude. Organic
Hallucinogenesis or something.
organic hallucinosis. I always want to call it organic hallucinogenic as well,
Yeah,
like organic hallucinosis.
yeah, but you get the point too. Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
Invisible Control, absolute killer song. I love that one.
Yeah, visible control, and then
Day 69.
obviously post organic.
That was good. I'll give it that one. Yeah.
Dude, I love that song. Um, and then obviously you'll be happy about these. Boom.
Suffocation. Yeah. That was actually when I think Frank Mullen had came back on that album, or actually no, I'm
Soul
sorry,
Stimuli.
they reformed, and I guess they took a little break after that one.
I remember when I first picked this up, it was 2000,
For
probably the year it came out. Yeah, 2004. And I remember it was too intense for me. It's too
it's
intense.
over 9,000, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I remember hearing them and going like, "Wow, this is like the epitome of fast death metal."
Yeah.
Last one in my little group that I have right here,
None so vile.
None So
Of
Vile.
course.
Gotta have these. Um, and yeah, I think what I do is I specific as you can tell, I like having the physical CD. I like having the physical like actual booklet. Um, but what I'll do musically is I'll actually buy CDs and kind of put a group of them together and kind of realize and kind of that's just how I'll develop my sound. Is I'll be like I want to be an amalgamation of all of this, and then it'll kind of because I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes figuring out just what you want to play is it's almost like picking your favorite child. Like what riff is better? Like what even is a good riff? It's all subjective. And then when you have multiples of your own stuff, it's like okay, what do I want to do? And that's so. But when if you get like a few albums together and put them in a group, you go, I want to do that. And then okay, so now it takes out the Demu Borgir stuff. It takes out the fringe things that I like but don't necessarily want to play.
I see. Yeah. I don't know about picking favorite child. I would maybe picking a favorite name to name your child, that sort of thing. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but I get what you mean. So,
yeah. Or maybe when you come up with two riffs and you're trying to figure out which way you want to do it better. It's like just kind of having a little bit more like direction in terms of where you want to go in the end. It really does help, especially if you have like ADD, like I think I do have.
yeah, something like that. But this one I'm gonna merge two together because you had mentioned about your struggle through COVID and everything, and a little bit about YouTube channel. Is there something you hope to achieve with your YouTube channel? And has COVID kind of helped you push towards those goals?
Honestly, there's nothing I really want to achieve with my YouTube channel other than it continuing to be a place where I track kind of what I'm working on, and track my progress. If I can influence anyone to pick up the guitar, so be it. That would be awesome. Um, but I'm not really motivated by teaching others. I kind of hate everybody.
I hate everybody equally.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm literally just putting up with human beings on a daily basis. But I'm the type of guy that I have my people, and then everyone that's outside of that immediate group is kind of expendable in my book. But also that's kind of the mentality, kind of going off of your question. That's something that I kind of had to develop during COVID. Like, kill or be killed. Like if you wanna be successful in what you're doing, you gotta make yourself successful, and you gotta do whatever it takes, or else it's not gonna happen. And you can basically count yourself out already if you're not gonna put in the 110% effort in terms of making what you're wanting to make work. And I can't help but just touch on the fact that really lighting a fire, there's nothing like lighting a fire under your ass like a global catastrophe.
Yeah.
Like literally there were times when I'm like maybe the world might not make it. Like I mean, it's nice to say, nothing can ever really, nothing lasts forever, and it's fun to stay positive. But literally, you're dealing with something when you're dealing with something unprecedented. You can't lean on the last one that happened. Like you're going to talk about the Spanish flu in the 1920 because that was way different. But what I can say is, other than this COVID nonsense making me a monster, is it's kind of made me realize how much I love music. It's really made me realize how important music is to me, because I think that partially my I guess what I'll say is successful is my mentality, and what I have in terms of how I think of music and what music offers for me. I'm very in touch with that, and I can't say I was before. And I think that in and of itself is enough to keep someone going, just knowing what a gift of music can provide for you is a huge, huge thing.
Absolutely too, and I think music, boy, is actually a little hard to kind of put together too. But especially because music, as I said, it's an expression of art too, but you also kind of do it with emotion. So you show
Yeah.
like in the case of Mudvayne, for instance, that whole first album, it was all anger and stuff like that. There was melody with the way Chad Gray sung his vocals and everything. Killer voice, by the way.
Yeah, he has a good voice.
Absolutely, it's good to see that he's still going, and I think they actually reformed too. So I think
Really?
they're out and they're back, baby.
Dude, I'm gonna pick him up.
I don't actually know if they actually went back to 2001 when they had all the makeup and everything. There was like Chad's. It was like all silver and it was like all black all in around the eyes and the mouth.
Yeah.
Kind of a little cheek design there going on or something like that.
Slipknot-esque.
Well, Slipknot was more a mask. This one was more
Right.
makeup.
Just paint.
It was kind of like a dual personality. I think their drummer Matt McDonough, he said it was like a disassociation from like a real identity or something like that. It was meant to be like the dual identity. You're not now Mac McDonough. You're now whatever your nickname is, and you just go.
Yeah. This is jumping around so much, but that actually brings up a good point. And when you're asking about like stage presence and kind of what my stance on all that was is God, I completely forgot what I was talking about.
It was stage presence, but I guess is it more of how the look is
Oh,
and everything?
yeah. So that's what I wanted to touch on with stage presence is something my family actually brought up. Is whenever they would come watch me perform, they would always say, "You're two different people, Ryan. You're when we see you on stage, it's like we don't even know who that person is." Like, and that kind of what you were to your point with Mudvayne and being another character like on stage and having kind of an alternate identity.
Yeah.
I can definitely identify with that, and that being on stage, it is your time to be whoever you want to be, and to portray yourself however you want to portray yourself. So it definitely felt like performing, at least for me, was an opportunity to express myself in a way that I can't, because where else do you get celebrated by screaming at people?
Metal shows.
Only metal shows.
Yeah. And I guess the studios, if the producer puts up with you every time. So.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good point too. So, wish you best luck too, and make sure to go check out their reunion shows. I think I saw it on YouTube, and I kind of wish I had clicked on it to see if they still had it and everything, because I think they were actually doing the makeup all again. So, I thought it was just like reliving the glory days, so to speak. So,
That's cool. What's funny is I feel like new metal has a worse rap than it should have. It's like decent music, I think it's really difficult to marry a decent chorus with screaming in any capacity,
yeah, I don't know. To each his own. So, we'll see
Right.
what happens. We
Exactly.
leave it to the people to decide. So,
Yeah.
all right. So we're down to the last two questions here, but this part of the interview, I now give my interviewees a little bit of freedom to ask me anything, or if there's anything you'd like to get off your chest. So, what you got?
I'm just curious, like, tell me a little bit about your, how you got to be where you're at now and in your music journey.
It's funny too, but I'll try to keep it short. though I got a feeling it's going to be a long story, long sort of situation too. So it started off with just 6 groups. Believe it or not, Metallica was actually one of them. And there was actually a
Nice.
radio station. I don't know if it did everywhere, but in Pittsburgh, where I'm actually from, that there was a radio station from 5 to 6. It was straight Metallica. It was all Metallica songs. I guess it covered, I don't know, it might cover its songs from the Black Album. I don't know, but I know it definitely covered their older stuff. And I think I remember listening to No Remorse and actually loving it. And
Yeah.
then there was other groups, Vertical Horizon, Bruce Springsteen, Bush,
Okay.
which I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
Three Doors Down. I always forget what the fucking last one is.
You know, I actually just watched Bush's Woodstock '99
Really?
show. Yeah, I mean, they were in the kind of almost like the grunge category, right?
It was something. I thought it was like a British punk. I thought that's what they were labeled as or something, but you could be right. It could have been British grunge in this case, since grunge is mostly known
Because
on the
they
West
were
Coast.
kind of in the same category as like Stone Temple Pilots, uh,
Alice in Chains.
Alice. Yeah, similar category.
I actually remember
Oh,
loving it.
I was just gonna say my local station had mandatory Metallica at 8 o'clock
Was it?
every day. Yeah, mandatory Metallica.
I don't know if that was the name. I forget what my dad always remembers what the station number was, but I don't know if it was called Mandatory Metallica, but it might have been. So just be safe rather than sorry. So,
Yeah.
but it was those groups first, and I actually got to middle school, and a friend of mine introduced me to the alternative rock and metal, like let's see, Under Oath, I think A Day to Remember, From Autumn to Ashes, those kind of groups. I
Right.
actually had stumbled upon death metal quite by accident, and it was by myself too. I think one day I just saw Dying Fetus, which I'm always going to laugh at because my dad still looks at me funny too.
I forgot to mention that John Gallagher is probably my biggest influence. Dying Fetus is a huge band for me.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. He totally kicks ass too, and he's jumped around a little bit, but now he's settled with Sean Beasley with the guitar and other vocalists there. They're like
I thought he was doing Misery Index.
Sean Beasley. No, you think that was Jason Neferton?
Okay,
He was on Dying Fetus's Destroy the Opposition, and then he went off and formed Misery Index.
Misery Index.
Yeah, now he does it with Mike. I can't pronounce his last name. I think it was like Copel or something. And then you have Adam Jarvis. I forget who the lead guitarist is for Misery Index, but that's the current group right now. They're still kicking ass and everything. I fucking love those guys out of Maryland.
I love them, dude. I think they're like one of the best aggressive bands ever. Misery Index.
I would say, yeah, they actually did come out with a new album. I think it was this year, and it's Complete Control is the album title. I just listened to it. You can guess it. They kicked ass yet again. They know what they're doing. So
Dude, they're so sick. I remember the album that I had like it had like 16 or 17 songs on it, and but they're all like a minute and a half long.
I forget which one that was. I think that was definitely in the early days. It was like kind of mimicking what a lot of those groups over in Europe were doing, maybe like Napalm Death and stuff like that.
Yeah, with especially with like it's basically like the reemergence of the HM2 pedal, the heavy metal 2 pedal, the Japanese distortion pedal, and basically characterized by that pedal and the throwback to the death metal, basically like entombed kind of sound.
I see, yeah. But just get back to the story.
Uh,
I had found
oh
Dying
yeah,
Fetus, and that took a while because it was one of those situations of like, what the fuck is this? I don't know what this is. I'm not digging it. But then there was just something that called me back, and then I always remember the song because it was "Homicidal Retribution" by Dying
yeah,
Fetus, and it was one of their breakdowns. Can't really say there's like a certain song structure to it or anything like that, but it was one of their riffs, and it just pulled me in. And then afterwards, it took off from there, and pretty soon I started experimenting, even listening to like other groups from the New York, Florida, California scenes. Now I kind of know a lot of the same bands that you kind of listed off right there, except for a couple, that Spectral Gore or whichever group it was from Spain.
yeah.
So I feel bad now. I feel like I gotta get on Amazon there and check them out later. But I mean, ever since then, I kind of been rolling with the heavy metal, and I listen to the bands that come out in Liquid Metal, which is a station on Sirius XM.
I remember that station.
Yeah, and they introduced me to some new groups, or semi new. I don't know how long their music's been released, but they say like new sounds, no sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's really about it. And you saw that I did both from the UK there, so that was actually pretty fun because they're one of my favorite bands because the music's at least simple on drums. There's not an overly complicated kind of measure to it.
Similar to like Napalm.
Uh, in the beginning, yes, they actually did do a lot of blast beats, but then like Napalm kind of stuck to it. Actually, Napalm was like real fast in the beginning. The songs were real short and everything. And then once Barney Greenway came in with Harmony Corruption, they expanded the songs. It was still fast and stuff like here and there, but they weren't as fast as they used to be.
Yeah, they became like more dynamic.
Yes. So yeah, you see what I mean.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. That's cool that you have such a different journey, but you ran into the same bands, you know?
Yeah, like I said, it always happened quite by accident. It just started with a couple listens, and then next thing you know, you end up getting hooked, and now you start going out, you start branching out, listening to every band that came out of the '90s, and then you're
Right.
still kind of rocking to this day. So you're like,
Exactly.
why did I miss this or that sort of thing? And this happened when I was born, man. Man, these guys were around
I
when I was
know.
born.
Don't you? I mean, I don't really wish this anymore, but I used to wish all the time that I was alive in the '80s to like know what that era was like and to relate to it.
Yeah, I imagine pretty crazy back in those days. Maybe a little fist thrown here and there or stuff like that, but we don't really know how people were back then, so probably a little
I
crazy.
mean, the biggest difference would have just really been how the music's recorded and then how it's distributed and how it's listened to. Where back then, you could literally be a good band and that was like a living.
Yeah,
Like it was literally a living being a rock star. Where now it's like you can make a living doing it, but you got to have like multiple sources of income. Like even people in giant bands like Slipknot, if you notice, like they're kind of doing a lot of stuff, you know?
yeah, like sponsorships or I guess
Yeah,
anything else really.
yeah, like promotional shit and deals and yeah, like you said, um, dude, you might know this. Um, do you remember a band called Lower Definition?
No, I don't. No, sorry.
No, they were like From Autumn to Ashes, like in the same category. Basically, after my band, the Dajal Persona broke
Yeah,
up, the guitarist and I went to college. The guitarist and drummer went to Lower Definition for about 2 years, and they were signed to Ferret Records, so they were pretty established, pretty good. I just didn't really like some of the members as people. They were kind of just like two faced,
mm,
more interested in the hype than actually being like a good person.
I see.
But I feel like that kind of that's the bad thing. That's probably one of the worst things about the music industry is it goes to people's heads. But you recognize who those people are really quick, and I feel like and then that kind of creates like its own subgroup. There's musicians, and then there's people that play music.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, I think power goes to anybody's head really when you think about it.
Yeah,
So
and well, I guess it's just like I really look up to the people that are able to have that kind of power, and not lose sight of who they are and themselves, and will still retain how they sound, you know, because that's very rare, you know. I don't really know. I can't really tell you bands that have not changed. I mean, can you think of in terms of the bands I like, I'm almost like I can talk about like some kind of major change that they've had
like
or
Black
sound.
Sabbath changing and getting Ronnie James
Yeah,
Dio.
like
Yeah,
a stylistic thing, like getting rid of Ozzy, Ronnie James Dio, like that era. Because there's as you know there's some Dio era Black Sabbath fans that only like that, and then like me, I'm really only into the Ozzy era Black
the
Sabbath.
Ozman cometh. That's it.
Ozman cometh, dude. So this is the last thing I want. One of the last things I'll leave you with. Um, I don't know how good of a last. What do most people usually talk about when they say a last thing?
Uh, you mean in terms of like a bit of advice, that sort of thing?
Yeah,
Uh, I don't know if it will really be the last thing, to be honest. Maybe just at that point in the conversation, but uh, I think it's just really. Normally, I just say it's just a saying that people just want to go and say, but you're really just giving them advice, and whether regardless like how big it is, that sort of thing. So, I mean, that's the best
That,
answer I
that,
can give.
no, that actually makes sense. That actually sheds light on kind of what I want to say. And I think what I want to say is for like new musicians that might be watching this, um, to not get overly.
If you want to give it some
What
thought,
I'm trying to get at is what's the word for not being patient. What I'm trying to get is for new musicians that might be watching this that want to make something musically at all in any capacity in their lives, whatever style, even if you're playing pop or jazz or blues. I think that the biggest thing is to not get overly
impatient or something like that.
impatient. That's the word. Don't get overly impatient. Don't be impatient at all. Just understand that everybody's journey is different, and that just because say you can't play a certain riff a certain way or you don't have the speed right now doesn't mean that you won't develop say the same speed and you'll be able to play just like that, or you'll develop your own thing that wow like for instance you know you might have down picking like on lock like James Hetfield. Like you could play really fast down picking more than most people. For me, that's not the case. For me, I'm really good at playing essentially lead on the lower strings. A lot of my guitar riffs are very almost like drawn out measures and very long complicated stuff. And I can say when I was trying, and any time I've ever written, when I was trying to be a certain way is when I totally missed the boat. So whenever basically you're trying to force yourself to do something that isn't natural, it's going to come off weird and people are going to know it's not you because it just doesn't sound good. People resonate with authenticity and people resonate with sincerity. And I think one thing that's missing from the music industry today is authenticity and sincerity. So one thing I'd really like to see moving forward is for people to start picking up music for the right reason and not be picking up music to make money or get a girl. Like that was another stupid ass reason people like dudes were starting to be musicians because they thought they'd get chicks. Like fucking figure out why you're playing and realize if that's enough of a reason to play the rest of your life. And if the answer is yes, you're going to do fine.
Yeah, I would say that's how it was back then with the 70s and 80s. The big stars, we get all the girls and everything too, and they'd be going in those Vegas clubs or whatever it is, and then
Right.
just going and you know what happens.
Whatever they want.
Whatever they wanted. Yeah, I think it was also booze, drugs, and stuff like that. I know that was the biggest one too. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing that is on the rise today is people, experimenting with things that can kill them. Like if something's bad for you, it's bad for you for a reason. And there's no the way I like to look at it, like no pills, no powders. I don't even drink alcohol. I haven't drank since 2020 because I realized that was when I wanted to get serious about the things I was trying to accomplish. Because I think before in my 20s and kind of coming off of being in a successful band and then trying to make it in the corporate world, I realized that I was living for the wrong reason. And I guess music helped me recalibrate myself and helped me realize, wow, that person that you were trying to get away from when you were 16 is actually still there and still trying to learn, like, the next solo, the next song, the next thing that's gonna push me forward musically. That's why I love music.
you just caged them up and kind of left them in there, so to speak. So
Yeah, it's kind of like riding a bike. It never goes away.
I don't know. I think I gotta get back on my bike and try to get the feel of it again because I haven't rode in God knows how many years, to be honest. But congratulations. Have you been sober over 2 years now?
Yeah, actually,
All
yeah.
right, congratulations, man. I actually did speak
Thanks,
with
man.
another. I actually spoke with another metal guy. Adam Carl is his name. He's in Porto Pazuzu, and
Okay.
he said during the pandemic he had given up cigarettes. So that's
Hey,
that's great.
whatever. For me, my vice was drinking, and if it was cigarettes, I would have given that up. But I gave it up, and the weird thing was, is I think a lot of people make their identity, like make their sobriety into their identity. I could not be furthest from that. I don't even know, like, I don't even know the date I stopped. I just stopped and said, I'm not doing this ever again. It's not who I am.
I'm done. That sort of thing. Yeah.
I'm done.
I
Exactly.
think that was what Corey Taylor said when he gave up drinking too. So it was
Oh, really?
yeah, and I was actually before he tried to commit suicide too, and I actually remembered it because it was on a Loudwire. Yeah, I was going to say Loud Music at first, but Loudwire when Gru Haman was interviewing him, and he said Tom Hazard had saved him from jumping out of a balcony. I think it was like a fifth story or something like that. And then I guess his
I
girlfriend was
remember.
something. Yeah, and I think he just woke up one day and he said, "I'm done." And after he sobered up a little bit, I think he regressed a little bit, but I think he's been better ever since. So it's good to see Corey Taylor
Right.
going strong.
Oh, and he's the man. Like, Corey Taylor's the fucking man. Like, I don't care if you don't like Slipknot. You try and do a band like Slipknot and see how far you get. You're not going to get far.
He's a crazy guy,
Like,
but I will admit he is pretty crazy, but in a good way. Normally when I say
yeah.
that, I say like he's crazy on the stage, but then he's probably a real super chill guy off the stage too. So
Dude, I heard he had a crazy upbringing. Like, he was doing drugs really early, like 13, 14 or something.
yeah,
And he was like that kid. I don't want to speak badly on anyone because I don't know how accurate that is, but I remember hearing something like that.
yeah, I do remember some of it too, but let's not go too much into details there. But was that also your message of hope that you wanted to give to musicians out there? Well, I guess what you were mentioning earlier with like being patient and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, I would say understand your why, like why you're doing it, and then understand, that it takes time, and everybody's timeline is different. You know, look, I'm 32, and I'm just now getting it. Like, and when I say getting it, I mean like understanding how I want to sound, understanding how I don't want to sound, understanding, even the picks I like know that know what makes you into your musician, that makes you happy, because I think that at the end of the day we're all doing this because it makes us happy. Like, I'm talking, you're a complete stranger, I'm talking to you because I love music and you love music too, and it's an awesome glue that kind of holds the scene together, is this love for music. And I feel like anything that's able to elicit um, love or positivity in a way that's a kind of a binding force is something that is totally larger than life, that is super important. Um, so I think my message to leave musicians moving forward is to just keep sight of that on the why you're doing it, and you're gonna make better music, and the better music people make, the better world we live in. So, like they say, think locally, think globally, act locally.
I see. Spoken like a true prodigy. All right,
There's my tagline.
2 cents. That's your 2 cents. Or, yep, tagline. All right, I'll give you tagline. All right. So, did you have
I
anything
have two.
else before we wrap up here, or any other questions or
No,
anything else?
I mean, last question I have for you is, what's next in terms of your plans for YouTube? You know,
Well,
and one thing I do want to say is I'm very impressed by your ability to conversate, conversate's not a word, converse, and your ability to talk about uh, you know, important topics, because not everybody has that. And so I think you're off to a really great foundation.
well, I would say I'm pretty introverted to be honest, but unfortunately we were able to find common ground with the metal and music. So I think
Right.
that's where it starts. And I think the problem is if we were to meet face to face, I feel like it would be a little awkward at first, but then I try to like get into it for more of the metal perspective. So that's why it's at least easier doing it this way. So you see what I mean?
Right.
Uh, really keep rolling with the podcast. I mean, it's going to be a good bit, and it's definitely helping out a good bit, trying to grow the channel and everything too. But uh, like I said, I was also going to do live streams with the bass over here, and I did one already. It was from our alternative metal group, Thursday. I don't know if you heard about them before.
Yeah, Thursday's awesome.
I did War All the Time, and you can check that one out. But it's one of my live
Yeah.
streams, and I've done drum covers and collaborations with other drummers. I have not done one with anyone who's done a strings instrument, like a guitar or a bass yet. So I don't know. That'd be something down the line.
Maybe we'll collabo. Let's do like a Hell Yeah or like a Black Label Society song or something.
I can think of Black Label Society. I think I know. I have to research about those ones. I do know the groups, but I haven't listened to them in a while. So I think I have to pull it out and see which ones can possibly do those. So
Yeah, dude, the fact that you invited me on your podcast means a lot. All you invite me to do any cover, I'll put in the work and we'll make it happen.
sounds good too. Maybe we can do a nice little metal project down the line, but right now my schedule's a little packed, so we'll leave that on the table.
Yeah, totally get it.
All right. So Ryan, we talked for almost a good 2 hours here, bud, and it's happened a couple times before already, but obviously people like to tell their stories and everything, and that's good too. So that's another reason why I wanted to share this podcast. It's good to see the human perspective, just to say. So
Right, because we're all doing it. We're all kind of on a different place in terms of what we're trying to execute and accomplish.
absolutely. Did you have any final shout outs or any last words before we officially close?
Just want to give a shout out to my family in San Diego. My mom, my dad, and my wonderful girlfriend that got me back into playing music. I would definitely want to give a big shout out to her because without that, I wouldn't be talking to you today.
Absolutely. A good catch, as I would like to say. You caught a good fish. All right. So,
Hell yeah.
all right. Ryan, I want to thank you again so much again for coming on. So, everybody, I guess today was Ryan Boeche. And I want to thank you again so much for coming on. So, stay safe. Stay tuned, y'all.
Likewise, rock on.